All right, so let's watch this clip. It's about 2 minutes. This was a chess related thing from a while back where Vishy was talking. Vishy has hot take. His take, I've seen what he says here before, so it's not a huge surprise. But I will comment on it. Okay, there we go.
So much as a streamer seems to have made Nakamura better.
Yeah, now you hear it, right?
Better too, right?
I don't think the streaming helps him become a better player, but what...
So first things first, okay, so first things first, I actually think Vishy is wrong here, and I'll tell you exactly why I think he's wrong. I think that playing so many games online, even if you want to say streaming or whatever, and I'm not fully concentrated, I think playing all these games online during the pandemic has actually helped me improve. I think that I have become a better player just by process of playing so many games and internalizing it. It's very similar to like the brute force method that Alpha Zero used, where it played against itself over and over again, many games. I actually think that I have improved because of all the games that I played online, since they were against top players. There are plenty of games that I played against people like, you know, when I do the arenas and things, but I think playing the Jospins, the Bortniks of the world, playing like Serana and all these other people in Title 2, I think it actually has made me a better player. And I think Vishy is a little bit wrong on this take, so I think the assumption that it doesn't help you improve is not true, actually. But let's keep going.
What it's done is it's taken a lot of pressure off him. He really felt he had only one way to show who he was, and that was at the chessboard. And now he suddenly realizes, I've got this other method where people...
Completely, yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of wild to watch this. As I said, I have seen the clip before. It's been a while since I've watched the clip, but it's kind of wild to hear Vishy say that, considering how long that we've known each other, because that is actually completely wrong. As well, it has nothing to do with the personality. The reason it's taken the pressure off me is 100% the financial pressures that I had to deal with.
Appreciate me and cheer me. In fact, many years ago in 2011 in Tata Steel, he made a winner speech. And I was kind of surprised the way he said, it's so wonderful to be in Holland where we're appreciated for our chess. In the US, nobody would care, or something like that. And he did this as the winner in the closing speech. And I thought, well, quite a strange thing to say. But if you keep that thought in the background, now he's got the adulation he wants. In fact, he seems to crave it. He goes back and does a recap.
Wow, I mean, this is. I mean, I don't know if Vishy's being serious or making jokes, but this is. As I said, I have seen this before, but I've forgotten just how insane it actually is. This has nothing to do with adulation. Like, thinking that I go back to make recaps has anything to do with adulation, when the fact is it's about my YouTube channel and creating content that is financially very successful for me is just amazing. Because it has nothing, like, thinking that I go back to do recaps is about like adulation, like seeing comments that are really like great or something. There's so many comments that I see on my YouTube videos that are actually like pretty nasty and negative. So yeah, he doesn't get it. I don't think Vishy is jealous. I think Vishy legitimately thinks this. I think Vishy is being a 100% honest here. I don't think he's like trying to make up something for some reason. I think he legitimately believes this, but that's not the reason I do recaps. The reason I do recaps is because financially it's very successful. It has nothing to do with the adulation whatsoever. I'm running a business. But let's keep going.
Every day and things like that. He really seems to want it. What I think is helping him is playing Blitz tournaments nonstop.
Yeah, see, because he basically, what Vishy is saying there is he's essentially saying, I go back to my room and I do recaps because I want adulation. It's because I'm running a business. That's the reason. It's just like, it's kind of wild to hear this, but I do believe Vishy thinks that, because Vishy, of course, why would he know any differently? Vishy doesn't have a YouTube channel. He doesn't understand the online economy. Is there anything wrong with adulation? No, of course there's nothing wrong if that's what you want, but that is making YouTube recaps. Going back to my room making recaps has nothing at all to do with like wanting fans to like appreciate me at all.
That allows him to keep there, and it might be the best way to train for a modern computerized opening preparation era, where there's so little to do with preparation because the computer solves everything, but you get to test every concept a million times, practice over the board. And that's why he's so good at it. And that's why all the best players now are playing these online Blitz.
But actually, this is funny, because you know what Vishy is saying here? He's actually essentially saying what I said earlier here. He's saying that playing all these Blitz games, I'm practicing over and over again, which is why I'm doing so well, which is actually what I said earlier. In terms of why I'm doing so well. He actually right here says exactly what I just said right before, which is that he's saying that the reason I'm so good is because I'm playing over and over again online. So he's actually agreeing with the previous point that I said, well, kind of in like a weird circular way, like invalidating his previous point. It's kind of odd, actually, because it's funny. He's essentially saying I am better because I'm doing exactly that, just like over and over again practicing.
Concept a million times, over the board, and that's why he's so good at it. And that's why all the best players now are playing these online Blitz events. You can put me on the spot and saying, well, if you think that's the case, why aren't you doing it? I haven't got around. I do some training online, but I don't feel like sitting from midnight till 3 in the morning playing online Blitz. These Tuesday
True.
events and so on.
Actually, Vishy, to be fair to Vishy here, he's right about that. Because like all the Indian kids, when they go and play like Nihal and Prague and others, when they're playing Title Tuesday or other other events, like they get completely shafted by the time zone. 100%. They get shafted so hard because they have to basically play at like midnight. It's absolutely true that like it's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
If you were much younger, could you imagine yourself as a streamer? It pays well,
I can
right?
imagine being a streamer now very easily. But what I don't see myself doing is spending all night playing. Also, I don't feel like playing that much Blitz.
Okay.
I always tell myself I should do a bit more, but in the end, the body just doesn't get up, and then that's it.
This also is wild to hear too, because like jokes aside, I mean, almost everybody here probably doesn't remember. Even I'm not old enough to remember. But like if you go back, like let's just say you go back like 25 years, like whether it's my stepfather or other people who were around during like the early 90s, there's so many people where I've heard stories about Vishy and like how he loved to play Blitz. He would play even classical games, he'd move instantly, he'd never use a lot of time. And so it's kind of wild to hear Vishy saying this, because like there's so many people who've said this to me that like back in the 90s, Vishy was like this Blitz god. He'd move really fast, he loved Blitz and all these other things. So I mean, I hope that I don't end up like this one day where I'm just like, nah, I can't play Blitz anymore, I'm too old.
You just don't go there. I easily see myself trying streaming or something, but it's a question of how long you want to invest in it. I mean, again, success is not going to come very fast.
Very true.
You know, there's a lot of crocodiles already in that bank. You'll have to, in that watering hole, you'll have to spend quite some time, do stuff daily, and things like that. And so it's a big time commitment is what I'm trying to say.
This is spot on, by the way. This is completely spot on what Vishy is saying. This is exactly why a lot of top players don't bother trying to stream for this exact reason, because there's a lot of it's a very big commitment and there's no guarantee that you're going to have success versus say playing tournaments where you automatically get paid just to show up. So absolutely spot on here from Vishy. This is a big W take this last little bit.
And then so I could very easily see myself doing it. And I've done versions of it over the last couple of years. I did a lot of online coaching. Lots of my talks that I used to get.
So anyway, I mean, overall, like most of the stuff, I mean, it's interesting to listen to what Vishy says. Certainly, like what he says about adulation is shockingly off. I will say that. I'm kind of surprised considering how long I've known him that's his general take. But it's definitely not about that. It's about running a business. At the end of the day. And also I'm not sure if there was something in here where Vishy talks about, but he said something like I was doing fine financially even before the whole streaming thing. I don't know if that was in here. I don't know if that's in here, but like when Vishy talks about like the pressure and all that other stuff, at the end of the day, the single biggest reason that everything is different here is specifically because of the financial end of it, where has this made you lose respect? No, I mean, come on. I admire Vishy. Like I will have a tremendous amount of respect for Vishy for forever. That's never going to change no matter what. But I think, oh, that's a different interview with Tanya. Oh, did I watch the wrong one? Okay, well, whatever. Let's get back to the game for a second, then I'll find the other interview in between, and we'll keep going. Sorry, I'll find the interview in between. Okay.
And what is the most challenging thing about being Vishy Anand?
A few times in a year, I try to wake up and play chess again. It is nice being FIDE deputy president. It is nice having an academy. It's nice traveling for other reasons, non-chess things and so on. But at the same time, it's quite challenging to switch on and off and to keep on never being one thing.
Fair.
It's nice though. For instance, I see that for a lot of people, this is a pleasant situation. Hikaru plays much better now that he feels. It turns out what he wanted all this time was to be acknowledged.
Here we go again. Here we go again with the bad take. Here we go again. Of course, this is obviously not correct, as I said earlier. Has nothing to do with being acknowledged. The reason I'm playing better is 100% financial. 100%.
He's acknowledged. He's very, very cool about it. He's exaggerating a bit when he says, "Oh, I'm just a streamer. I'm just."
I'm exaggerating. I'll give you guys like the honest take, just straight to the point. The honest take is the reason I feel less pressure is because obviously the streamer, the financial rewards are far higher than they ever were as a chess player. That's the simple reality. And at the end of the day, when you are far more secure because of that, it changes who you are as a person. Like you don't get as stressed about the same sort of things the way that you once did. Absolutely, 100%. So let's keep going.
It's a streamer, but I think it means a lot that he has this validation, and then he plays so much better. I mean, his performance in the Berlin Armageddon last year, this candidates, then his performance in this Norway chess this year. It's quite connected to this feeling that he is much more detached. And I also have this feeling anymore that I have this feeling nowadays. I feel happy that chess is not dominating everything, and I'm slowly adjusting
Okay.
to a more balanced life.
Yeah, I mean the bottom line is yeah, like I said, is that at the end of the day, you may have considered a different choice if you got in chess for money. Well, it had nothing to do with the money, but what I would say about chess is when you're progressing through the levels, there comes a point when you get near the top where like first couple of years, like first 2 years when you're in like the top 10, you get these fancy invitations to top level tournaments. You're like, wow, like I get to go to Berlin, I get to go to like Vikonsee, I get to go to like London or Paris or wherever the tournaments are. And like the first year or two, you're like, wow, it's like really, really cool. It's fun. And then you settle sort of into the rhythm of playing tournaments. And at some point, if you start performing very poorly, your income can go down by at least 50%. If you're very, very bluntly, now it's a different world. If you go back to like 2018 or 2019, if you do not qualify for the Grand Chess Tour, like if I were to not qualify for the Grand Chess Tour very specifically, my income would be cut in half at least, because that was basically the 6 top tournaments. I think it was like 4 classical and 2 rapids at least, 6 tournaments during the year, which had all the money in it. So it's kind of interesting that Vishy thinks this, because it's not true whatsoever. Like if it was all about adulation, I would be doing different things. Let's put it that way. Talk numbers. Okay, I'll give you some pure numbers. I'll give you some pure numbers, generally speaking. Like if you're talking about like income levels, people assume chess players make a lot of money. Now, I don't know, like Magnus of course is making well into the millions, but beyond Magnus, if you look at say a player like Anish Giri, just as a guess, if you strip away Chessable and all the pandemic related stuff, I would bet that most of us in the pre-pandemic world, in pre-tax, pre-expenses, we're not making more than like $400,000 a year. Now that of course sounds insane, but when you lose roughly 50%, whether it be to taxes, whether it be to travel expenses, coaching expenses, etc., Anish makes 500K. Let's assume Anish makes 500K, whatever. Like you assume he's making 500K, that's pre-tax. You lose 50% right off the top. Then you have to pay your coaches or trainers as well, and it's still very good. But think about it this way. Let's assume that it's 250K after taxes. You have no pension. You have no, well, maybe Anish is different because he's in Europe, but like at least in the US, you have no pension. You have no health care. These are costs that add up. And if you have one bad year and your income gets halved from like, let's just say 500 down to like 250 or 200, you're looking at 100K, and your career is not guaranteed beyond the next couple of years. There's no guarantee career-wise. So yes, you can say that's a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but there's no safety net. It's very, very different than a traditional job from that standpoint, where if you don't do something insane, like let's just say you work at a bank, you will have that job probably for the next 30 years if you need it. That is the bottom line. Or not need it, but like if you don't do something insane, you probably are going to have a stable job for the next 25, 30 years. But in chess, that's not the case. So even if you're making 500K pre-tax, that gets halved. And then if you have a bad year and you lose, like let's just say you have a bad year, you drop 30 rating points, you go down to like 2720. There go your invites to the Grand Chess Tour. And just like that, your income is already very, 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 very shaky. Not to mention you're a top 10. That's already as a top 10 player. Exactly. Why is working at a bank insane? No, I'm saying if you don't go and like, I don't know, you don't do like a bad trade and lose your bank $2 billion or something. But anyway, that's beside the point. Why do you go into chess if money's important? That's not the point. It had nothing to do with money when I got into chess. But the fact is it's not as secure as a lot of people assume it is. That's the bottom line. It's nowhere near as secure as people think it is. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, compared to the average Joe, you should be very thankful. There are many people in this world who don't even make more than a couple dollars a day. Or a couple dollars a day or a couple dollars an hour. That is a sad reality in this universe. There are many people who struggle to get by, of course. So for sure, like you have to be, you know, it's all relative, but certainly when you talk about like chess and you have these things on your mind all the time and everything is so reliant on results, like if you have a couple of bad results, your rating goes down and you start worrying about these things, it's definitely lead to your play deteriorating. You're going to be feeling this massive pressure that makes it very, very difficult. It helps you play more freely when you don't have financial worries. That's an amazing feeling. Yeah, sponsors, I mean, in the US, again, everywhere is different. Like in India, it's very different because in India, all the top players have sponsors, and the cost of living is much lower and everything else. But in the US, like outside of myself and Fabiano, I would be hard pressed to name any chess player who's gotten a sponsorship. I think Fabiano, even before the World Championship, which he played in as an American trying to become the first world champion in 50 years, I think the best he got was he got this like very small sort of sponsorship with Intel for a little bit, and that's all he had as far as I know. Now, of course, most of the top chess players in the US are supported by the St. Louis Chess Club and Rex Singfield these days, but nonetheless, if we look at like corporate sponsors, these sorts of things, they just don't exist. My only sponsor that I ever had was Red Bull. That's the only sponsor I had that was like sort of non-chess related specifically. So it's you know, again, it's all relative, obviously, don't get me wrong, and you should, you know, of course we should all be very thankful to be in such a situation. G Fuel is much later on. I'm talking about when I was a pro chess player. I'm not talking about in the pandemic or the post-pandemic world. I'm talking the pre-pandemic world. So that's it pretty much. That's it. So it's very, very difficult when you have these thoughts in your mind. Of course, when you first start out as a top player, as I said, the first year or two of playing these top events, you're like, wow, so much money in these events, like you're really into it, and then it's like, wait, I'm going to Paris again, I'm going to London again, I've been to London every year for the last decade, why am I going back to London? So you get kind of bored, and then you start worrying about the money and everything else. Arjun has a 1.5 million sponsor. Yeah, now India is a very different situation because all the players have big sponsors, and considering the cost of living there, they're getting paid like US money in a place like India, which is obviously it goes a lot further. So at any rate, that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line as far as like what I would say in terms of why I'm playing better, on top of just like playing all the blitz and just improving, is frankly the fact that I don't have those worries anymore. Whereas like a lot of the other players do have those worries, and this is my other hot take of the day, is I think for a player like Wesley So right now, I think he's struggling with that, because basically what you feel like you have to maintain your level, because obviously you're not going to be the best in the world. You have this stupid Norwegian guy who's too good at chess. That's just the reality, whether you like it or not. So you have the stupid Norwegian guy who basically kills your world championship dreams. That applies to everybody. And then it's more about just like maintaining, keep making the same amount of money, don't lose too many points, stay solid, keep getting your invites to the same terms over and over and over and over again. So that is the bottom line, and why it's why it definitely, the pressure is very, very very intense. So that's the bottom line. Levy might be doing better than many GMs. Levy is making millions of dollars off of YouTube, you guys. Like, of course he's doing better than literally every chess player in the world except for the top two. Or I guess I'm not number 2 right now, but you get the point of what I'm saying. So anyway, let's get back to the action, because we're gonna be starting in a second. Let me change the scene, of course.